planting season has arrived. The freshly sprouted seeds, they are the future of this entire land. But right now, the wild boars have started their rampage again, tearing through the fields countless times. There's no room for hesitation anymore. Today, we're not just hunting, we're protecting life itself. Before the mission, every piece of equipment was checked: rifles, ammunition, radios, and most importantly, the helicopter that would lead today's aerial offensive. Everything was prepared like a real battlefield. This is our duty as hunters, as guardians. Stay with us until the end to see if we can triumph in this battle for protection. Below us, the farmer's freshly planted field stretched wide. A herd of wild boars was trampling across the soil, tearing through every meter of land. Gunfire erupted, each shot aimed squarely at the lead boar. It collapsed instantly, dirt exploding in the air. The herd panicked. Chaos, total disarray. After taking down the leader, we split into separate directions to chase down the remaining invaders. On Tony's side, he maneuvered the helicopter closer to the ground. Once within range, I fired. With a single precise shot, the destructive creature fell, neutralized. Meanwhile, John was in pursuit of a target trying to escape into the bushes. But under that relentless chase, there was no way out. He steadied his rifle and fired a decisive bullet, taking the target down mid-run. One more threat to the crops eliminated. Once the first herd was cleared, we didn't waste a second. The helicopter banked sharply, diving toward an open area near the forest edge. Tension spiked. Below, another herd was scattering in all directions, trying desperately to hide. I locked onto my targets, giving none a chance to flee. Gunfire thundered through the air, bullets cutting the silence like final judgments. Each shot brought down another destroyer of the fields. Two more tried to turn and run. I radioed John immediately. Moments later, gunfire erupted. Each shot from John hit its mark, dropping every target in succession, ending their hopeless escape. The helicopter surged forward again. A new chase began, this time across a vast green pasture. Below, startled by gunfire and the roar of rotors, the boars bolted like arrows across the open field. I pursued another group racing toward the edge of a newly seeded field. I had to stop them before they destroyed even a single sprout of life. One after another, my bullets flew. Each boar fell before it could reach the crops. At that same moment, John reported through the radio he had found what we were waiting for, a massive herd fleeing across the fields. Then came the roar of continuous gunfire. Each bullet from John's rifle brought down another beast, clearing the land one by one. Before joining John's battlefield, I needed to finish clearing the remaining threats on my side, protecting the last untouched fields. Along the way, I continued to neutralize any danger threatening those young, fragile seeds. When I finally joined John, he was closing in on stragglers that had broken away from the main herd. Bang! Bang! 2 quick, decisive shots, clean and precise, dropped both targets instantly. I quickly selected my targets among the scattering herd, eliminating them one by one with swift precision. At last, only one threat remained in the field. We began our final pursuit of the day. The rifle steadied, sights locked, I pulled the trigger. The final bullet flew, ending today's battle. Alabama, a land of endless cornfields and vast untouched forests. But behind its peaceful beauty lies an endless war, a shadow that never stops haunting this land. Wild hogs, aggressive, invasive, and countless in number, are the true nightmare of local farmers. For us, every hunt is more than just an adventure or a sport. It's a mission, a necessary act to protect the livelihood of the people. Join us on a journey to confront the most stubborn destroyers, where every single shot doesn't just bring down a target, but safeguards thousands of living sprouts. Before dawn even breaks, while dew still clings to the leaves, we set out. Our first challenge waits deep inside the thick forest, where sight is limited and danger lurks at every corner. At daybreak, following the barking of hounds, I reached a narrow path along the hillside. A massive wild hog suddenly stood tall before me, as if daring me to act. Just as it tried to turn away, 2 shots rang out, pinning it to the ground. The arrogant beast was finished instantly. Not a bad way to kick off the morning, right, brothers? The entire forest fell silent under the relentless barking of the dogs. David knew the prey was near. Suddenly, the beast lunged out from the bushes, charging straight at him. His heart skipped a beat, a panicked shout filled the air. But even as fear surged, his finger stayed true to the trigger, bringing the monster down perfectly. Life and death decided in a split second. 1 shot to restore peace. Under the noon sun, The dog's relentless assault pinned down the enormous hog. John quickly locked it into his scope, determined not to let it escape. Desperate, the beast tried to retreat up the hill in one last attempt at survival. But a cold, decisive shot ended its struggle for good. The dogs carved the path, the gun sealed the victory. A flawless display of teamwork, wouldn't you say? As the last rays of sunlight disappeared behind the tree-line, the hunt entered a new phase. No more frantic chases. This was now a battle of patience, precision, and long-range shots. On one hillside, I lay flat on the ground, my eye pressed firmly against the scope of a high-powered rifle. Across the valley, a jet-black hog wandered, oblivious to the fate resting on my fingertip. Then trigger pulled. The bullet tore through the air, striking hard, sending the beast tumbling down the slope. Just one crack of thunder, and the valley breathed in peace again. At that moment, a rare spotted hog dashed wildly through the thick brush, bolting like a living arrow. I pulled the trigger the moment it broke into the open. Damn, missed! It kept sprinting, but my second shot ended its desperate escape. One bullet wasn't enough, but two made sure the mission was done. One life falls so that countless others may thrive. That is the law of this land. As dusk settled in and we headed back, we stumbled upon a brazen hog hiding in a patch of dry grass. Did it really think no one saw it? We crept closer, rifles steady in our grip. The instant it realized its mistake was also the moment the curtain dropped with a single sharp crack. Its foolishness became our hearty feast for the night. Nightfall closed another tense day. We carried back not only our spoils, but also a deep conviction that comrades will always stand shoulder to shoulder, that the farmers are always behind us, and that local authorities walk beside us in this mission. To all of them, we owe our heartfelt thanks. It is this unity that allows us to protect this land. The mighty Ford F-150 rumbled down the dirt road, loaded with the day's hard-won trophies. On our iPhone 16 Pro Max, we captured the unforgettable moments of this hunt. The ride home carried not just fatigue, but the satisfaction of knowing that tonight, the fields will finally sleep in peace. Our journey is far from over. The threat remains. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell, so you won't miss the missions yet to come. once golden fields of Florida now lie barren, scarred with chaotic trails. Surrounding them are thick swamps and dense hills, perfect hideouts for the menace that has left farmers sleepless, fearing for their crops. As the crisis escalates, local authorities have issued an emergency hunting order. Today, professional hunting teams and their fierce hounds step into battle, not only for safety, but to reclaim the livelihood of hundreds of farming families. At first light, John's hunting team was already on the move, their truck loaded with gear, charging straight into the Florida swamps. Upon arrival, the team spread out into pre-assigned positions without delay. John and his partner boarded a small boat, setting out to track down the beasts. Barely 15 minutes later, John's sharp eyes locked onto a wild boar wallowing in mud. Without hesitation, the gunshot rang out, eliminating the threat in an instant. A clean, precise, and swift shot, the perfect opening for today's hunt. Leaving the boat behind, John quietly advanced deeper into the swamp, slipping into his hidden post. From afar, he spotted a wild boar engrossed in foraging, oblivious to the intruder nearby. With swift, practiced motions, John raised his weapon. The sharp crack of the gun shattered the silence. One single shot, neat, decisive. In the blink of an eye, another victory was secured, accurate, efficient, and merciless. Before John could move in to confirm his kill, the furious barking of hounds drew his attention. He rushed toward the sound. Just minutes later, he arrived at the scene, a wild boar surrounded by a relentless pack of hunting dogs. John raised his gun and fired a direct shot. One bullet was enough, the beast collapsed heavily to the ground. Another threat eliminated, another safeguard for the farmer's crops. A sharp crack echoed through the forest, signaling the hunter's arrival. Kevin's familiar hunting truck pushed through the dense undergrowth. As soon as they arrived, the team split into their signposts. Moments later, a wild boar ambled lazily across Kevin's sights. Calm, precise movements, then the trigger squeeze. The shot was flawless. The threat was neutralized before it could vanish into the forest. Pressing deeper into the forest, Kevin's eyes scanned every shadow. Suddenly, a boar charged straight at him. A shot fired. Instantly, the beast fell to the ground. But before relief set in, another boar lunged from the thicket. Kevin fired again, but missed. The beast vanished into the depths of the woods. Unfazed, he began tracking its trail. The hunt was far from over. It wasn't long before Kevin and his team located their quarry through binoculars. The boar hid among thick tree trunks, unaware of the hunters closing in. Seizing the moment, Kevin took aim. The powerful shot echoed through the forest. The beast staggered, tried to escape, but soon lay lifeless on the cold ground. The hunt ended with a spectacular finish, another deadly threat eliminated, and the crops once again safe from destructive beasts. Wild boars have become a serious threat. They don't just destroy crops, they attack livestock, uproot trees, tear apart ecosystems, erode field embankments, and cut off irrigation lines. There have even been cases where they stormed into people's yards, leaving panic and injuries behind. What used to be peaceful farmland now bears only deep hoof prints, torn up soil, and broken pens. Faced with this situation, we had no choice but to act, not out of recklessness, but to protect what's being torn apart day by day. With fully prepared gear and a pack of battle-hardened hunting dogs, we set off into the wilderness to track these beasts. This time, who will be the one to fall? Follow us and find out. Nightfall. We arrive at the edge of the fields bordering the forest, prime ground where wild boars emerge after dark. Rifles loaded, infrared scopes on, and dogs released into the shadows to silently pick up the scent. The night hunt begins. We move quietly through the still darkness. The infrared beam sweeps over patches of grass, revealing only the scarred earth where the boars have already rooted through. Suddenly, movement ahead. A sounder of wild boars is busily tearing up an entire section of field. I quickly draw a bead on the biggest one and squeeze the trigger. A sharp crack shatters the silence. The bullet hits true. My target stumbles, staggers, and drops instantly. The rest of the herd squeals in panic, scattering into night. We split up to pursue the fleeing animals. In the dark, a lone boar stands frozen, unsure where to run. I steady my aim with my breathing. One squeeze of the trigger, the shot cuts through the night and slams into its side. It bucks, crashes to the ground, twitches a few times, and lies still in the grass. Elsewhere, my partner suddenly finds himself face to face with another group. One of them spots him and freezes, glaring toward the sound. We can't let it sound the alarm. My partner locks in his aim, one clean shot, and the boar collapses without a sound. The herd bolts in all directions, and the field falls back into an eerie silence. Exhausted, we decide to return and regroup for the next hunt. A few days later, after careful planning, we set out again. This time, we hunt in the early morning fields. A thin veil of dew clings to the grass, and the breeze is deceptively peaceful. But the peace is an illusion. Boar tracks and freshly torn soil mark their challenge to us. With rifles checked and GPS trackers ready, we begin the chase. We move silently, making sure not to alert our quarry. A faint rustle from the brush ahead makes me signal the team to halt. I raise my rifle, holding my breath. Seconds later, a boar bursts out like a lightning bolt. No hesitation, I squeeze the trigger. The shot echoes across the damp ground, and the beast falls where it stood. Meanwhile, to the north, my teammate is lying in wait. A massive boar lurks in the tall grass, plotting its escape. Suddenly, it charges, trying to break through to another thicket, but it's too late. One precise shot drops it instantly, ending its short-lived breakout attempt. After the spoils of war exceeded initial expectations, the team decided to return to recuperate. However, on the way back, a slight movement in the bushes immediately alerted the team. Suddenly, a prey darted out like an arrow. Perhaps it was looking for a way to escape. Without hesitation, I raised my gun, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out decisively. The prey slid long, leaving a deep imprint in the middle of the field. Another hunting session ended with breathtaking and dramatic moments. The seemingly inviolable monsters were now stopped, helping to protect the fields, livestock, and peace of the people. All hunting scenes in the video were carried out in accordance with the law, in areas that allow control of the number of harmful wild boars.